And let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for being here. Today's topic is debugging in Go. So we'll do some debugging of the DDEV Go application, and we'll use both Golang and VS Code to do it. But before we do, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, say a little something about yourself and what you're interested in, where you are in the world, and why you use DDEV. Mark, why don't you go for? Well, I'll go first. I'm Randy Fay. I'm the lead maintainer of DDEV, and I'm in Palisade, Colorado, and got back last week after a nice time at DrupalCon Portland, where I saw Mark, and so now just trying to adjust to catching up on things. While Stas kept everything running the whole time and has a release nearly ready to go. So we'll do a release today or tomorrow with some of the latest changes. So, okay, Mark, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mark Lebrecq. I'm based in Vancouver, BC. I've been working with Drupal for quite some time, and my whole team is on DDEV. And I've been the guy that customizes all our environments for our projects and stuff. So I'm really interested in getting more into the contribution side. So I'm looking forward to this talk.
Fantastic. That's great. Abhi, you can go ahead and do it in the chat since your audio is. Oh, it looks like your audio is starting to work now. Go ahead if you want to.
Hey, hello everyone. I am from India. Yeah, it's been a long time. I have been using DDEV and really curious to like do contribution around it. And so yeah, that's why I'm here. That's all. Thank you.
We're glad to have you here, and thanks for is it the middle of the night, or it's about 7:30 there, or 8 or something?
Yeah, 7:30. Yes.
7:30.
Evening.
Okay, well, great to have you. Alberto, go ahead. Great to see you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, great to see you too. I'm Alberto. Yes, I'm based in Zurich. We've been using DDEV for more than 5 years now, I think. I have a lot of experience with Drupal, but then I switched to a different company out of Drupal, but still I use DDEV in a daily basis, especially in scripts. And I'm interested in Go. I like it very much, and also Flutter. So that's one of the reasons I started getting more into this, knowing more about DDEV internally, let's say. So yeah, hello everyone.
Great to have you. Thanks. Bob, it looks like you might have gotten yours work. You can either introduce yourself or do it in chat, either way.
Yeah, mine's been working. I'm Bob in Maple Ridge, BC. I'm interested in, or I've been using DDEV for a long time. I sometimes have to use Lando, especially on one project where we're building a product in Golang, and so I'm interested in learning how DDEV is built on Golang so that I can see if I can then port that project over to be running on top of Golang. And my understanding of how Go works inside these IDEs in relation to Docker containers and stuff is limited. So I'm hoping to get some of that out of here, and then maybe I can contribute back to DDEV as well.
We would love that. That's great. Okay. I'm glad you got your audio working. Let's see, Truls, why don't you go next? Whoever's interpreting is mute. Yeah, there we go.
Hello, sorry, my fault. Yeah, hi, my name is Truls. I'm from Norway, and I've been working with DDEV for a long time, and I've been in Drupal probably 16 years altogether. But I'm using DDEV probably for 4 or 5 years now at work, and we use it for both Drupal Laravel and WordPress, and we also want to contribute back to DDEV and do that more to make it more useful for all of us in the community. That's why I'm working for.
Excellent. Thank you. Great to have you here. Isaiah, I saw you joined a couple of times earlier, so I'm glad you got it here now. So go ahead and introduce yourself if you can, or use the chat or whatever. We'll skip on to Fresh if you want to. You can also do it in the chat if you want to. Okay, Kristen Wiseman, go ahead. Okay, Marios, did you already go?
No,
Oh,
hi everyone.
go ahead.
Actually, it was me who had the audio issue and Bob helped me. So everything's fine now. I'm a Drupal developer for 7 years now. I've been working with DDEV at least 3 years now, and I'm dropping in to see how things work under the hood, hopefully, and be able to give back to the tool.
Excellent. Great to have you here. And Matthias, I'm so glad you're here. How
Yeah,
about that?
I made it. Thanks very much. Hi, I'm Matthias from Vienna, Austria. I'm mostly a DDEV user since 3 years when I entered the agency, which told me, yeah, we use DDEV, and I have no idea. I had no idea, but now I have an idea. I'm mostly a Craft CMS developer now. I do stuff with Vite and DDEV and try to get it work. And yeah, I have no Go skills yet, but I'm in a new team with Go developers, so it's a win-win for me today to learn something about Go as well and more about DDEV.
Well, that is great. Great to have you here. Hang on just a second. Somebody needs help here. Somebody got asked for a password. Did any of you didn't have to have a password to get in, did you? No, I must not have given the right link there or something. Hopefully they'll make it in. Okay, let's see. Ofer, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Ofer Shal. I live in Boca Raton, Florida. Love DDEV for a few years, and thank you, Randy, for all the support. Passionate about DDEV in the cloud and making people's life easy, and AI.
And of course, Ofer is the maintainer of DrupalPod, which builds on DDEV and Gitpod, and lets Drupal folks contrib or all their work in the cloud. So, Russell, go ahead. Oh, Russell went in the chat. I saw that Kristen also did, so it's great to have you both here, and thanks for introducing yourself. And it's great. And Stas, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Stas Zhuk. I'm from Kremenchuk, Ukraine. I am maintainer of DDEV, and I also work as PHP developer, and I use DDEV for Laravel project.
I'm so glad that we have people using a variety of situations because each of us has usually is focused on, each of us doesn't use everything. Each of us doesn't use Craft or Laravel or Drupal. And so when we have a variety of people with expertise, I love that Stas is really focused on Laravel and can really speak to that. That's always fantastic, and then Matthias always knowing what's right in Craft and that kind of thing is just a lovely thing. Did I miss anybody? Did we get everybody one way or another? Well, we'll go ahead and get started. You're welcome to speak up anytime. It's a small group, and so it's fine to ask questions and it's fine to poke at what we need to do. And so feel free to do that. We will do what we can do today. What my goal is basically to just check out DDEV, and then do, and build it, and then use both Golang and VS Code to do some demonstration debugging. And we'll debug both commands and PKG tests and CMD tests. And so we'll try out those three things. And so Go is a fun language. We're not going to go too deeply into it today, but if you have experience in nearly any procedural language, you'll probably find Go fairly familiar in general. It has its own quirks like every language does. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And get a terminal going. I'm going to share the whole screen because otherwise I get lost every time. And I'll just make this as big as I can. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to check out DDEV. I'm going to call my remote upstream because I'm getting the actual DDEV as opposed to my fork. So I just always call that. So here we are in the DDEV directory, and we have all the Go code in here. Most of the code is in the CMD directory or in the PKG directory. And I need the Go tool to be able to build this, and I need make to be able to do it. So I have make, which on Mac OS I have from the developer tools, from the Apple developer tools, and I have Go, which I've installed in Brew. Can you say what environments are you working in? If you're not in a Mac environment, tell me what you are working with. Ofer's in Gitpod. He's in Linux. And Gitpod comes with all of these things already built. Truls, you work in code spaces. And Mark works everywhere. Mark's like me, works everywhere. Russell, you use Ubuntu and you install things with Homebrew, which works fine for Go. That's great. Marios is switching to Ubuntu and WSL, which is a great environment. My favorite way to install Go in WSL is using the package manager, either Homebrew or where am I? I'm not here today. I don't. Oh, Mark says Chocolati. Chocolati would install Go on the Windows side, but not in WSL. So anyway, all good. There's good ways to install Go in all these places. In a place like WSL, you'll probably need to install the Build Essential package to have things like make and all the things that you need. So here we have things checked out. I already have Golang installed, but first I'm just going to do a make. And DDEV comes with a make file that does all the things that you need to do to have a binary. And you see it tells you where it's building the binary. It's in the directory gotemp Darwin ARM64 DDEV. And that's where it needs to be in our path. What I do on my development environment is I have a link to that. So if I do a which DDEV, it'll say that I'm in user local bin DDEV. But as you see, I actually have that being a link to the built version of what I need here. So I just built this version, and you'll see that we are 30 commits after v1.23.0 on this one, and the hash is this commit hash here. So so we have DDEV built. We can do a DDEV list with it and see what we get. And now I'm going to go ahead and launch it in Goland. So I'm going to open it. And Goland is we're gonna look at both Goland and VS Code today. Goland is very opinionated, kind of does everything for you out of the box. It includes the debugger out of the box. It has, basically all the things that you want. Because I did a clean checkout here, I'm going to be in the same situation that you would be, opening up everything just the same as I did. So hopefully it's a fair situation. I moved my regular development environment out of the way and just left it gone. And what I want to do is I just want to first, you see, I have no build configurations or anything like that. I just want to run DDEV and see what happens. And in a Go program, that's mostly just using the main.go. So I'm going to open up the main.go, and I'm just going to run it. And that will create a configuration for me that I can use for debugging and otherwise. Feel free to, since I do this every day, I am likely to skip over some things. So feel free to speak up, ask any question you want, any of those things. Mark asked if Goland is free, and it is not. Goland is a sibling of PHP Storm. It's from JetBrains, and it is modest in price, but it's an annual price, and it's a I like it quite a lot. It's my favorite thing. I like PHP Storm quite a lot too. I know that a lot of you like VS Code. VS Code is free, does everything, but has a very, very different view of the world. It ends up with you doing a lot of configuration to make it do what you want, but it's free and it does everything, and that's that sort of thing. So Marios, the pricing options that they have for the bundles are all out there. I do get one of the bundles that gets me all of the separate tools, and then there's another one that gets you a tool that does everything in one tool, and I don't know which is better. But okay, so here I can I'm going to right click on main.go, and I'm just going to say run. So that will actually compile it and run it. And you see here, this is the same as what you would get from just running the DDEV command. So essentially, I have just built and run the whole thing. For debugging, what I'll do then is just edit this configuration just a bit. And I'm going to say DDEV list here and change it. The program argument is going to be list. And I am going to run it inside a PHP project called D10. And so I just made a couple of changes here. I just changed the name so I'll be able to find it again, gave it an argument, and told it the working directory that I want to run it in now. And so now if I run it, I'm just going to use the run button here. I will get the output of DDEV list. So that's all it takes to run from within here, with this doing all of the compilation and everything else. But our talk today is about debugging. So we can do a number of things to debug. For example, I can put a breakpoint here in main.go just by clicking to the left of something. And then if I say debug, it will build it and launch it and stop there. And then I can step through that as I want to. I'm going to use the F8 key. And I can do all the things that I want to do, including seeing, let's step into this one here. I'm wanting to get, I'm wanting to get you a little bit more. Here's the, so I have stepped in to the execute command, and now I have some variables that I can look at if I need to look at those. But I'm probably more interested, I'm going to just hit F9 here to let it run. And I'm going to go back and get rid of this breakpoint here. Since I'm doing a list command, I'm probably interested in the list functionality. So I'm going to take a look at the list.go that is in the DDEV app directory. And here's where it does all of its work right here. Is this type big enough, or should I make this bigger? Can you see that okay?
Yes, it's good for me, at least.
Fine, yes.
Okay. I'm always on a smaller screen, so I'm always frustrated when people have a big screen and they share the whole screen. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here so that we can see what happens when we actually go into the list functionality. And I'm going to do the debug again. And it has dropped me right in there. The compilation went a little faster because it's cached. And so now if I step in here, I can see that the apps is going to be populated by get projects. And now I can go see what we got in apps. We have 10 projects that we have captured here. And we can see that the first one is this one called Test PKG WordPress, and it has the various information about it. And so I can examine exactly what that has. And we can step right through there and continue on or step in. So if we, for example, if we're going to do this create app table, I'm going to hit F7, which is step in, and then I'll be in there doing that. And so I can take any command and do what we just did, and set breakpoints wherever I want them and see what the code does. And of course, with nice debugging like this, you can not only try to solve a problem, you can also learn about the flow of the code. sometimes when somebody dumps on you 56,000 different files with gazillions of lines of code, it's very difficult to figure out what the actual flow of the code is. And so in this exact case, what we just did, you might consider putting a breakpoint in main.go and seeing what it actually ends up doing. It calls it calls the work that it does is in cmd.execute. And so we would be able to go through that process and follow that. So that's the basic idea of being able to run or debug a DDEV command or any command in any Go program. You just run the main.go and then you can use that same configuration to debug it. Tell me how much sense that made. I think that lots of things are right in front of everybody. Yes, this is a Cobra app.
Excuse me.
Go ahead. Was it Mark? Were you going to say something?
Oh, sorry. Yes. This looks really simple and awesome to see. Would writing up a DDEV add-on support using Go rather than just the bash that it normally, if you run a custom command or whatever, could you create your own add-on using some of the ecosystem here, or is that generally sort of separated from that?
The normal add-ons can do a whole bunch of different things. So add-ons can just install custom commands, they can install custom services, they can basically install anything that you would install into DDEV. They can install any kind of configuration or added features that you can install into DDEV. So I don't think that we have any Go features that we add to DDEV. There has been a proposal at one point that we allow like a Go plugin environment, but it hasn't gotten anywhere. It would be an interesting thing, but it would probably, and anyway, there is an issue proposing that. I'm sure that you could use Go a number of ways, and I'm pretty sure that custom commands can run a variety of languages and not just Bash, but I haven't done that.
That makes sense. So, because you just add the header to use the executable. And, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So, and yeah, as Bernardo answered, Cobra is the structure that's used for the commands here. So when we do a cmd.execute, we land in Cobra land. Cobra seems complex, but there are so many models for it that you can do a lot of things that get you where you need to go with it. I've never actually mastered it. I just keep, using using the same things and copy and paste, and am not a master of Cobra, but I should get a little bit better. So any other questions about what we just did? Ofer, go ahead.
Yeah, tell me if it's out of scope. So I was testing what I saw you doing, but doing Gitpod and basically the VS Code web. I found some updates that needs to go there because of specifically the debug option that we have already made there. Other rules for any linting or something before name of branches if I want to commit back these updates.
So yeah, DDEV has, let me just stop this right here. DDEV has static linting built into its process. So if I say build static, make static required, then it runs a number of linting things, including Golang CI lint, which is typically installed in we just failed the docs check, the markdown lint check. Anyway, so when we do a make static required, it checks Golang CI and Markdown and a number of things. And so those tools need to be there for contribution typically, but when you push them in, they're probably going to be fine. So in other words, they're going to be checked in the compile process, but it's very nice to have those locally so that you can do what you need to do. This looks like a change that's probably happened in the checker. Let me just show you right quick, because I don't want to skip the time that we have with VS Code. So I want to show you how to debug a test. Here we are in Goland, and we want to debug a test. So let's take a look at list test.go, for example. And all I have to do to debug this test is to debug it or run it from here. I'm going to run it first. So this is test list without dir. I think that's a pretty ugly one. Oh, well, we'll do it anyway and see how it does. Now all Golang, all Go tests start with capital T test. And so this is the is checking for a panic that is probably from way back in the day. And you see when I click on the little arrow, I get run or debug and coverage and all these other things. But I can say run, and it automatically creates a configuration for me here. And then it runs this test and shows me the output while it's running the test. And if I'm interested in debugging it, then I can just stop, for example, right here, and we'll let it go. I hope this one doesn't take too long. Ofer, go ahead while we're doing that.
I was looking on my environment for list underscore test, and I see two different ones. I don't know which one do I want. One is in the command directory and one is the dev app directory.
We're actually in the right now we're in the DDEV app directory, but in a minute we're going to do the CMD version.
Okay.
And so and that's actually a fundamental difference. The CMD ones actually run the DDEV binary from outside of it. The app ones run code that is only themselves. So in other words, the CMD tests, the files name something underscore test.go that are in the CMD directory, those are going to actually exercise the DDEV binary. And so to have any confidence in what you're doing with those, you have to have the same version of DDEV compiled in your path. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was excellent. Thank you.
And we're gonna do that in just a second. But first, I'm just gonna debug this one. So now I push the debug button here, and we already had the configuration made. And so here we are, and I'm gonna use F8 to step through this. And here it gets the active projects, checks the start count, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just going to let it go ahead. I'm going to press F9 and let it go ahead and finish. So that was a classic example of debugging a DDEV app test or a PKG test. Stas, go ahead.
Truls asked about which buttons did you use, and F buttons, and as you can see here in the debug console, there is also small errors buttons, small and on the left side, and they are below. So you said we can use F keys, but there is also keys to debug it.
Yeah. So if I go and press debug here, and I kind of have the keys built into my thing, but under the run here, I think it's
No,
under the-
you already can see them. Yeah, debugger.
Oh, yeah. Those? No.
No. There is there are below debug window.
Oh, in the debug window, which oh, down here. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, somebody really knows how to use this. Good job. Wow. Okay, yeah, so you can do it here. So here's F8 is what I've been doing. F7 is how you step in. F8 steps, Shift F8 steps out, and F, it doesn't have all the things that I use on the command line.
Yeah,
It's
and
worth-
on the left there is also continue to run test and stop the test. On
There
the
we go.
left. Here.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, so if you use, we all use a subset of the tools that are available to us, and obviously I do too. So thank you very much. That's great. Yeah, so these are all the things that I was doing with function keys. So, okay, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to press. There's a little obscurity that I'm not going to do here. I could just stop the test, but that leaves a project running that I don't want to leave running. So I'm going to let it finish and clean up after itself. So I'm going to let it do that, and then I'm going to show you a command test. And again, this requires that we have a built DDEV in our path that matches our code, or what we're doing is not very useful. So, for example, if we go to starttest.go in the CMD directory, we're in the CMD directory here, and I want to run test CMD start. I can do exactly as we've been doing elsewhere and run it, but it is going to use, see, it's going to run the DDEV binary, which means that you have to pay attention to what is going on there. So we can, I'll just put a breakpoint here, and I'll say debug it, and it makes a new configuration for me, so I can reuse that if I want, or put whatever I want to into that. So it's actually getting the test ready. It's getting a test framework ready for us and copying that in there. And now it's going to stop at the run command of the stop -- all. Hopefully in a moment. So the process here is exactly the same. There is a little bit of obscurity in these CMD tests because you can't, or at least I have never developed a technique to actually step through the DDEV process that's running. So this is going to run DDEV stop -- all, for example. And we don't have the option, we don't have the capability of stepping through that. I am sure that you could run that and you could attach to the DDEV binary that's running, that's doing the DDEV stop here, and it would work fine. But I haven't ever developed a technique to do that. Usually here we're trying to make the tests work, and it doesn't matter that much. So I am going to stop this and let's move on to VS Code, but let me ask if you have any questions first. No questions? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
You mentioned that you need to have a version of DDEV that's the same, or in your path that's the same version. If you already had DDEV installed and you used it and it's just the stable version, how would you just put the built version that you're working on sooner in the path so that it gets found sooner?
That's what I do. So so there's more than one way to skin this cat. But I put a user local bin. I have user local bin early in my path. And of course, I'm on a Mac, so opt homebrew bin is where the normal stable version would be. But I do this, and I have a little tool that does it, that does the linking for me. But user local bin ddev is actually a link to user local bin ddev.link, and user local bin ddev.link is actually a link into my workspace directory to where the build happens. And I have that set up so that that works on different operating systems and everything else. So I use that. I have a script to do the linking, and I have a script to undo the linking so that I use the normal one. And of course, I'm happy to share those. Other people do different things, and sometimes in an environment where I don't have the scripts, I will just put a link in my /bin, which is also early in my path before the stable version. So,
Great, thank you.
any other questions before we do VS Code? Let's go ahead and see if we can do VS Code. I am much less fluent in VS Code, so you may have to help me, but I can usually make it work. VS Code is a lovely and beautiful environment, but it as I said earlier, it has a very different strategy. It'll do every language, and it'll do it anyway, and it'll take any plugin, and it'll do everything, and it's free, and it's great, and it's addictive, and a lot of you like it, and it works great for PHP, and it works great for Go and every single other language that there is. But you have to have a launch.json. You have to understand the context of the launch.json and all of those kind of things. But the ideas are still the same. I'm going to tell it always is asking, do you want like dev containers? So I'll say, yeah, sure, give me dev containers. That's fine. I'll take it. And I don't want to do things that I don't understand right now, so I'm not going to do that. And so up here in VS Code, as you know, is how you search through the various pieces, and the launch.json is, so I should be able to get the I want to go to file, right? And say launch.json. And it's this guy right here. So ddev comes with some configurations. And so like a ddev snapshot is built in. And if you needed to do something like ddev snapshot, you could do exactly those things, and this would do it for you, and you could copy them and make a new launch configuration. This is a lot more complicated than what you have to do in Goland, but all of you who use VS Code are already used to these things, and they work just fine. So I should be able to say run and debug, and I should be able to choose the ddev snapshot and run it here. And it should do a snapshot for me if the it looks like it's doing exactly what we would want to do with the snapshot, except it's getting a an image that we didn't have. So that's interesting. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counting there was a different perspective than I've seen before. So the run and debug command over here is going to be the place that all the things happen for us to debug. And if we want to debug, then we'll need something in our launch.json to do that. It's pretty easy. So we're going to do the debug ddev start. And by the way, this launch.json that you're looking at here is not something that I added for today. This is in ddev. This is checked into ddev. So the .vs code directory is already there, and see if it helps you. And so now we're going to use the run and debug command.
Randy,
Yeah, go ahead.
it might need, what I did and I want to commit back is I search for D9 simple and I change it everywhere to D10 simple.
You're saying that if you're changing the directory?
I did search and replace all over ddev because when I tried debugging in Gitpod, there was an error, and once I switched its directory, it went fine.
Yeah, good. Maybe D9 simple is long since obsolete. Maybe a PR to improve that launch.json would be a great thing. So we're gonna debug the ddev start now, and this is a command thing, and we're gonna be working with we're gonna be working in start.go in the CMD directory, and so I am going to put a breakpoint in here. Right there. And now I am going to run that. So it's set up to debug there's not a separate idea here of debugging. So you see it's using Delve, DLV. I didn't mention that you have to separately install Delve here. And it's also using the wrong Delve. Let me just show you right quick for you that use VS Code. The debugger that is used by VS Code, and it's also used by Goland, but on Goland it's built in, so you don't have to think about it. But it's DLV, and the package is brew installed DELVE. So you have to install those. The thing that looks like it's going on here. Oh, it's working perfectly is what's going on, but it's not using the Delve that I really wanted it to use. So it's working perfectly. It did stop at my breakpoint, and I do have all of the things that I want to look at here. And so I can do all the things that I want there. So it's doing perfectly. We ran the start command that was specified in the launch.json, and we hit the breakpoint, and now we can step through. The function keys are on this one, they're up here. They're a little easier to find, I think, than on Goland. And it's F10 and F11. So F10 steps over and F11 steps in. And so you can just do the F10 and step out and do all of the inspection that you want to. And then if you want to, I'm going to let this go now. I'll use the, I think step out will get me out of there. And now let's take a look at a test. Maybe we can use the start test. Okay, I want you to just stop. Okay. And I want, let's just take a look at starttest.go. And it has this test CMD start. And you see this has a similar, I don't have to do this one. I don't know why this one is so much easier, why the tests are so much easier here. But I can just put a breakpoint here, and I can say, well, I did the run instead of the instead of the debug, but I could right click on that and I would do the other. So I can just click the little arrowhead beside a test and run it, and there's nothing to it. I'm going to stop this. If I figure out how, I think it would ask me if I did, but I want to right click to debug this test. So I'm going to debug the test, and now it'll stop at the breakpoint, and I can do all of the things that I need to do. So as you can see, they're equally powerful. VS Code is far more powerful because it's free and it does everything. It does every language, and you can do your PHP stuff in the same place that you do your Go stuff and every other language in the universe. But they have very different personalities, and people are attached to both of them. Any questions about what we just did with VS Code?
All right.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we need to have Docker running? Some kind of Docker?
Well, DDEV won't work without Docker.
Oh,
So-
right.
So yes, you definitely need to have a
Okay.
Docker provider running, because DDEV will refuse to even start without Docker.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
You bet. Yeah. We're getting to the end of our hour, and I so appreciate your coming. So feel free to ask or raise or comment or help with anything that you find here that you would like to talk about or look at. If you want to look at anything from Golang or VS Code or DDEV code, it's all open season.
I have one question, if you mind. Have you ever used the DLB command by itself without?
Yes, that's if you go out to their project, you won't see any mention. You won't see any mention of having to have a fancy IDE or anything like that. So in github.com, go delve. Here are all the things, and it'll tell you how to install it. And it doesn't even mention installing with Brew, but here's how you can debug from the command line. And yes, you absolutely can do it. And it works like many of the older command line debuggers like that we used to use in C or C++ or other places like that. And of course, there's if I remember, you can attach to a PHP process and do the same kind of thing. And Delve is built into, Delve is required for debugging in both of these packages. It just happens to be bundled into Golang.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Do you
Any
have
other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I've got one. It's not really related to this, so prioritize anybody else. But do you have experience with running a Go project inside Docker and how you configure Go root and those things to make sure that your IDE is and your debugger and all that can access the right Go inside of a Docker container?
So most Go binaries like DDEV are self-contained and they don't need Go at all. So when you build DDEV, you have a fully built thing that has no dependencies, which is a absolutely beautiful thing that Go can do. It's amazing. So in a normal situation, you can run any normal Go built application, one that's built without dependencies, will run inside the container if it's the right architecture without any other thought. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to configure anything. If you want to be doing Go development inside a container, then it's the same as in any Linux environment. You just have to have the basic Linux setup. So if you were going to build DDEV, we used to build DDEV with Docker because it was a very predictable build environment before Go got really much more sophisticated about that. We had a lot of trouble getting predictable builds 6 or 7 years ago. And so we did in fact build inside a container so that the build was predictable. And we had make inside the container and build essentials inside the container and Go inside the container. And there really wasn't anything to that because the Go root will normally be set automatically. Does that help at all?
Well, yeah, I'm doing Go development inside a container for a API proxy called Tyke, and I haven't been able to figure out how to get my IDE to identify the right Go inside of Docker. So
no, I didn't. I have never done an IDE on the host building inside a container, so I do not know about that.
Yep, thanks.
So yeah, but you can do everything that you need to do from the command line. But an IDE inside, I don't know. I haven't tried that. I bet you can do it. So
I know it can. I just haven't figured out how.
yeah, there you go. All right. Well, any last words? I know you all have the next meeting to go on to, but it's I so appreciate you coming and sharing this, and look forward to your contributions.
A quick question.
You bet.
Related to what was kind of my brain was sucked into this thing that we were talking about yesterday. This paths, the path variable that's inside of DDEV when you're doing composer related commands. So if I try to apply this testing, could I actually step through that entire process and see when?
Absolutely can step through exactly the whole process.
Okay.
And I invite you. I
Yeah,
challenge.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it. Yeah, thanks.
That'll be interesting to see what that difference is. So the difference is going to be, anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Thanks.
All righty. Oh, I should stop sharing my screen, shouldn't I? So I can figure out how to do that. Okay. Stop sharing. Thank you so much, and have a great day or evening or night or wherever you are in the world. And thanks for joining us today. And we'll put this up, the recording up, for those that weren't able to come.
Thanks so much, Randy. This was great.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.